Hey, what's up, guys? I am in the world of Nordhaven, back with another Very Veggie Legacy Challenge. So today is Generation 4, which is evolved around squash. So the color yellow is the goal for this build. And the generation sim for this particular challenge is a university student. So I wanted to have a build that kind of emphasized like a lot of studying clutter, was a little bit on the modern side as far as the exterior went. Another trait that is included with this sim is that they hate children, so I made sure not to really add any of my normal clutter, which is like toys or toy boxes like for children and stuff. So I had to go without, which was it wasn't difficult to incorporate that. I just wanted to mention that because it is emphasized in the generation challenge. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turns out. I end up going with this bright yellow to kind of like break up the black and wood tones I used for the exterior. I thought it looked really cool at the end. I will put a picture up just that I got from Pinterest to kind of give you a better idea of what I was trying to go for. Again, it doesn't turn out exactly like it. I ended up compromising and changing a lot of it just to fit with the Sims. All in all, I think it turned out really cool, because it's definitely a different style than what I usually do. Like the square balconies is, I think that's the first time I've ever done that in a modern build. I might actually do that again because I feel like it adds way more dimension to the build. Yeah, and those are the wood tones that I mentioned earlier. I wanted to kind of make the build a little bit more unique. I feel like when I use a modern build, I go in with a lot of white and black and gray, and I wanted to kind of explore different textures. So the wood tone I end up using, the flooring and the wallpaper kind of match each other. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. The backyard is pretty fun too. I feel like it's filled with like the planters, of course, because this is still a Very Veggie Legacy Challenge. I always have to include the planters. But I was really pleased with the interior. If you guys have seen my second YouTube video, I believe, I did a tour of a sorority house, and I ended up using a yellow kitchen, so I kind of brought that into this build today because I don't know, I love a yellow kitchen for some reason. I feel like it looks super clean and super cute, and I couldn't wait for this challenge. If you haven't already, I've already completed generation 1 to 3, so I will leave the description links below. But yeah, here I am going in with yellow, trying to figure out the proportion of everything, and then I realized it was kind of like too much yellow. I was originally going to kind of incorporate yellow in the balcony area here, but I just felt like it was just too much. And yellow is such a profound color. I just felt like the way I'm using it in this particular build would be a little bit too much. If I used like a lighter yellow, I feel like it would have I would have been able to incorporate that way more generously. And here I am just adding doors and figuring out what windows I want to use. I end up going with this because of the wood trim around the window. I think it really complements the wood textures I've already used, and it also breaks up the black wall there. yeah, I really like how this turned out. I think it's unique, and it has a lot of character as far as the build goes entirely. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. I end up making this portion here like a bigger balcony, just because I end up putting the bedrooms upstairs, and I don't know, I wanted a little bit more of a balcony area. Again, adding to that dimension of the build. I think that's really important when it comes to modern builds, is adding as much dimension as you can, because like modern builds, they're kind of pretty plain, you know, they're mostly just working with squares, right? So adding a little bit of like pop outs and using balconies to the best of your ability to add a little bit more detail and to just make the build look less boring. I do enjoy making modern builds a little bit more than traditional builds, only because of their sleek look at the end. I think they look really cool, and I think they add a lot of character to The Sims, because the majority of the architecture, in my opinion, in The Sims, at least in the beginning, were very traditional builds. There weren't like much modern builds that I would consider like well thought out. I end up using this this fence that looks like it has like fairy lights on it. I think it ends up looking really, really cool, because it just gives off kind of like that New York vibe where everything seems so lived in. Like if you were to go to New York or look on Pinterest, the balconies in the apartment suites, they just all look like they've been cluttered up and they've been like lived in for a really long time. And then I'm going with this yellow staircase. I just feel like it just ties in the yellow. I've never used it before, and I felt like the gaps between each step kind of fit perfectly with the style of this house, and the shade of it, like the exact shade of yellow it is, matches perfectly with the yellow in the house. And then if you do notice, I go in with black windows only on the parts where the yellow is showing. I wanted to kind of do an alternating effect. I think it looks pretty cool. It might seem a little bit off-putting for some people to use kind of different colored windows, but I think in this build specifically, I think it works really well, because I didn't want to use one color too much, and if I felt like I used the wood tones, it would just look weird with the yellow, so I ended up just using black, and I think it turned out really cool. Going in back to the porch area in the back of the home, I was originally going to leave it separate, but I wanted the build to flow a little bit nicer and be a little bit gameplay friendly, so I decided to attach it to the backyard, and honestly, I like the look of it. I think it looks really cool being attached to the backyard. It's definitely a more unique porch idea than I usually go for, but that's exactly what I wanted. I think The Sims, when it comes to the Very Veggie Legacy Challenge, is all about going against your habits and trying something new, trying a different build style, playing with a color you've never played before. So I wanted to try something new, and I wanted to kind of alternate the build in a way where it looks completely different from my normal builds. I think I captured that. I think overall the build is really fun, and like always, I do upload my speed builds, including the apartments, which I just figured out how to do, on the gallery at TatianaFame, so it's the same exact username as my YouTube. So feel free to play with this build. I'd love to see the gameplays that you guys use, and I don't really play test my builds as much as I should, but I'm sure they work fine. I don't think I clutter up the builds too much, but if I do, please let me know. I'll try to double check that before uploading it to the gallery, but all in all, I think everything should work perfect. Here I am incorporating yellow flowers. I used to use like sunflowers in The Sims quite a bit, but I've stopped for a while, I think because I've been focusing on different styles, and honestly, I forgot about them. I forgot about using them, and I was so happy that I was able to use them again in this build. So I just fast forwarded because this part kind of took me a little bit, only because like I wanted to do something a little bit more like different, and I also wanted to incorporate as much yellow without it looking like it's too much. So here I am cluttering up this area here. All in all, I like how this turned out because there's not too much yellow, but there's enough yellow for it to stand out, for it to be like, oh, okay, this build has a lot of yellow flowers in it type of thing, without it being like too much and like too hard to look at. Especially with the shade of yellow I used in the house. This is a very golden yellow. It's not like a light yellow at all, so to make it appealing to the eyes overall as a build, you have to be very like scarce with it, so that's what I did. But yeah, so I'm just filling up the areas where I think need flowers, need a pop of color. I don't think I end up putting flowers in this corner here. I think I just extend the porch area because I felt like it was starting to be too repetitive, and I envisioned the porch area to need more room in the end. So here I am deleting everything, changing my mind as per usual. Usually I'm super indecisive when it comes to just the layout of things. I always end up going back and changing stuff. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so that kind of comes with the trait. So here I am trying to add soil underneath. I love that part. I love adding soil. I feel like it's like the most satisfying thing about landscaping is doing the terrain paint and adding soil and darkening up certain areas. I do draw on my free time, so shading and blending like darker colors to light colors, like that's one of my favorite things to do when it comes to adding more detail, adding shadows, and I'm really happy I'm able to do that here in The Sims. These are the planter boxes I mentioned earlier. You can't have a very veggie challenge without these, so I'm just putting them in the corner there, obviously with a variety of smaller ones next to it. Here I am playing around with kind of like this area. I was confused on what I wanted to put there, because I'm just so, like with my last build, I added a huge pool and I had like a barn in the background. Like I had so much plans for the backyard itself for my last build. So I kind of struggled a little bit figuring out what I wanted to put up here. Because I don't like doing the same things over and over again. But it's kind of hard when it comes to The Sims, because I feel like if you build as much as me or a few other simmers on YouTube, you start to feel like you're running out of clutter. You know, even though there's so much content in the game, like with the amount of builds that I see people make, I'm like, how do you not like run to CC custom content to find your clutter after like reusing the same things over and over again? But for me, I like to keep my builds pretty plain for the most part. I don't really incorporate custom content. The main reason is because I want it to be playable. I want people to enjoy my builds and incorporate them in their gameplay. I feel like if I cluttered them up with as much like custom content lush, I would feel like it's hard to keep track of, and if I were to upload it to the gallery, I'm not sure how the files would behave. And the last time I used custom content, a lot of them just became corrupt, and it was just so annoying going back and figuring out which one was broken. And I took a break overall from custom content. I used to use it way more. And I do have to say, the one thing I do miss about it is the variety, is the freedom with it as well. I love using custom content for builds, and especially for clothes. I do enjoy gameplay too, so not just building. I just haven't decided on what gameplay to do, or what like my objective is, so I might incorporate gameplay videos as well on my channel if you guys are interested. I kind of was just planning to do it because I wanted to, and I think it's quite fun to use one of my builds for that. But yeah, so I'm just adding a bunch of lawn chairs here, like a bee box thing, an insect like farm as well next to the lawn chairs, a bunch of plants. I wanted this area to kind of be like a plant and like barbecue area. I was very indecisive with this like dining room table outside as well, because I felt like the swatches weren't matching. Do you know when two things are supposed to like go hand in hand, but there's the wood or the texture is like slightly different? I don't know, it's a little aggravating only because like sometimes I just want it to be exact, and it should be exact because it's supposed to be like a pair, right? So I had I had some trouble there. There I am incorporating the light wood windows, and I ended up using this window here. I've never used this window before, so I thought it would be interesting to kind of have something different. And yeah, I realized later on that putting a chair there, like it kind of like interferes with the open window, so I had to kind of maneuver that a little bit more. Here I am adding more planter boxes, just to kind of make the space look like there's like detail in every corner. That's one thing about my builds, is I try to add a lot of detail. I try to add as much purpose to a space as I can, especially if it's a modern build, because it's just a modern build to me is just really plain overall. And it really shows like through the clutter and through the furniture, like how lived in a modern build is. A traditional home, like sometimes you'll see them and they're kind of like they're filled with plants and chairs here and there, and you can get away with like an empty yard. But a modern build, I feel like sometimes it'll look a little too plain because the build is plain. So playing around with a lot of clutter. Here I am putting these lights here. I don't know, I thought they looked really cute. I wanted to kind of give the fence a little bit more pizzazz. And I think you just saw me put the garbage bins in the back with alternating colors. I thought that looked really cool. I live in Canada and we do have 3 different garbage bins for different stuff, so I'm not sure if that's different in other places. But yeah, I thought that was like a really cool detail. here I am kind of making a seating area for this balcony here, which ends up being attached to a bedroom, the master bedroom actually in this home. I end up adding only 2 bedrooms in this house. A laundry area kind of, it's kind of like a small room that's attached to a ladder, which goes all the way up to the balcony. I don't feature the balcony here only because honestly, I thought I recorded it and it ended up just not being a part of the recording for some reason. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but all in all, it's really simple. I do show screenshots of the balcony, so that kind of like shows a little bit of it. So I do apologize that the recording was kind of like non-existent. So I'm just putting like solar panels up here, trying to figure out like what exactly I wanted up here. I don't end up featuring like any of the lawn chairs and the bar area that I used up here. I don't know why, it just ended up not being there at all. So I'm going in with more planter boxes here. I thought there was a yellow swatch of this, but it ended up being more orange than yellow, so I just went with the base game one. Yeah, so I'm just trying to fill up this place with plants, and I wanted a different variety of plants. I sized down a bunch of stuff just to make it seem like they're collecting that type of stuff, and it's all like not all the same. And I thought this planter box area and that smaller balcony above the front door, I thought that looked really nice. I like the look of that a lot. It has like a modern vibe to it, and it's not too green. Like, it's not too overpowering to the rest of the build. I'm adding this armchair here as well, which I find like really cute, with a smaller table next to it. And yeah, I really want to use that plant more, the one that looks like the petals have fallen off of it. I think that looks really good. I think it kind of reminds me of the kitchen clutter kit. They have a cereal box, and some of the swatches look like the cereal has like dropped like below, like on the surface area. I think that's a really cool detail, and the fact that we have a plant that kind of emulates the same thing, I like that. I think that's really cool, and it's a fun detail. You know, it makes the game a little bit more realistic and again lived in. I wish we had a little bit more stuff like that, but hopefully in the future, as creators create more kits and clutter kits, that we'll end up having that. Again, going in with the planter box, and I wanted to have a variety of things in this little plant area. I really loved how the plants up here looked. I feel like they look really cute, and they look like the sim has been collecting them, so I think that looks really cool. And I never get to use like that yellow barbecue, so it was a good addition, and it ends up being pretty close to the shade of the house, so I thought that looked really cool. I'm trying to go in with some plants here just to break up everything. But yeah, I noticed that I've been just using more and more plants in my builds. I think it's just consecutively growing the amount of plants I've been using in each of my builds. I don't know, before I never really incorporated them that much, because I didn't know what to do for them. You know, you have a blank space, you have different plants, like you use a plant, it's going to be way different than the other plants. Like the look of different plants in each house, obviously you don't want it to be repetitive, right? So you're kind of forced to use flowers that have different textures and are harder to use, harder to balance. So it's definitely going to be a little harder. for sure, for sure. I end up going with this yellow rug, which I use, I think, in every entryway. I think it looks cool. It's simple enough that it doesn't clash with anything, and I just like the look of it. I think it looks really clean. And why not using like the same rug? It's an outdoor rug anyways, right? So I doubt people are going to go out of their way to get different rugs for outside. I'm just adding more greenery that's like overgrown attached to the house to kind of, again, break up the plain black there, because there's no windows there, and I wanted the build to kind of seem overgrown and seem like it's newer, but it's been there for quite a bit. I end up using these modern planter boxes. I do have cars driving back and forth in my neighborhood, so if you do hear that, I apologize. But back to the build, here I am starting on the interior, which was my favorite part of the build. I loved working on the kitchen. I wanted an excuse to make another yellow kitchen so bad, because I just feel like I don't do it enough. I think I only feature it in 2 videos on my channel, so I wanted to really add another yellow kitchen. I feel like it's not done enough, and if it's like not a challenge, it's never incorporated, I would totally add one to just like a normal house. The question is like, would I ever incorporate a yellow kitchen in my real life? Probably not. Only because I feel like it would clash with my other ideas for my dream home. So that's that. But if I had a home like this, yeah, of course I would incorporate a yellow kitchen, but I don't know, maybe the more I use yellow kitchens and play around with like my ideal like textures and the color, maybe it will work, but I'm not too sure. I think it would work. Okay, I would incorporate a yellow kitchen if my kitchen was completely closed off from the house and it was just its own room. I think that's when I would definitely incorporate a yellow kitchen, because I feel like it just looks so clean. And if it's the right shade of yellow, it won't look like, I know like some colors it might look like dark, it might add age to a certain thing, but if I feel like it's the type of yellow that I can incorporate without it looking like it's just used, like it's like rusty, then I'll definitely use it. The yellow and like marble countertops I end up using for this probably would be the perfect yellow. It just looks clean to me, and I love the detail in the marbling for these ones, and the little cutting boards in the corner. Like I really love these counters. They're one of my favorite counters in the game, just because they work in a modern build and they also work in some traditional builds if you use them right. But here I am adding an island. I love adding islands to my kitchen. I just feel like stuff like that adds so much detail to the game, and so much dimension to the kitchen portion of a build. Here I am trying to figure out where to put the fridge. I end up using the kitchen clutter fridge just because the magnets are just too hard to resist to use. I think the magnets itself kind of, I don't know, they pop out and they add so much needed detail to the kitchen. So I end up going with the stove and pairing it with the yellow stove top. I'm trying to play around with different stuff and it ends up not really working, so I end up going with that. And I think it looks really cute at the end. I love how this turned out. I'm just trying to figure out the matching cabinets for this one. So, and then here I am trying to alter the windows so they're not kind of like directly behind the countertops. I'm trying to be better at that. I honestly, I forget. I forget that I add windows where the kitchens are supposed to be, so sometimes it just takes a little bit more playing around. But yeah, so I'm really happy overall with how the kitchen turned out. I think the kitchen turned out really cute, and the shelving in the corner here, I think they just, I don't know, they make the kitchen look so cute and so aesthetic, so I really like incorporating that. Also, I end up like replacing that chair because it ends up just being buggy for some reason. Yeah, but it is similar to the chair I used before. I am also, I really like using that like fan above the kitchen because I feel like it looks like the most realistic one. I feel like it just looks the most realistic. It's not too shiny. The metals aren't overpowering, so that's why I kind of use that fan the most in my builds. I like it the most. I hope they come out with more fans that are a little bit more like this one, probably like a different size, or sometimes like a smaller one would be nice, just in case like it's an apartment build and there's not much shelving for it. Here I am trying to figure out if I can fit a dishwasher in here, and then I end up just not putting it in. Yeah, but I'm trying to make this as much like yellow as possible without it looking crazy. But I think in my opinion, I think it looks really cute. I think the shade of yellow in this kitchen specifically, it's not hard to use and it's really easy on the eyes. So when you're looking at it, it looks really cool. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a swatch that would work well with this this color kitchen for the grocery bag. Again, going in with the kitchen clutter kit because it's the best. You can honestly, like I mentioned in my review of this kit when it came out, you can use this kit anywhere. There's so much items that you just need this kit to clutter up a kitchen, no matter how big your kitchen is. If you're struggling to clutter up a kitchen, this is the exact kit you need, and it just makes things so much simpler. The majority of the items in this kitchen is from this kit, so it makes my life easier. It's fun to use. There's so much detail that goes in each item. The grocery bag looks immaculate in this build because it just adds that pop of like realism, and I love it. I think it looks really dope. Yeah, so we're just adding a bunch of containers in the corner here. This is the cereal box I mentioned earlier. Like the detail of this, like the spilled cereal is like, it's just unmatched. Details like that really do make building fun, and they make like the vibe of the house better, and they add to that realism of the game, and I really like that. This is The Sims after all. There's obviously going to be a limit to realism, but with small details like that, I think it makes it really worth it. In this corner here, I end up adding a bathroom because I felt like I wanted at least a guest bathroom on the lower level, so your Sims don't have to go all the way upstairs to wash their hands or to go to the washroom. So I wanted to add that. This is the living room area. I end up using I wanted to mention I end up using a lot of gray. I really wanted to talk about how, in my opinion, I think gray is the perfect contrast color to yellow. Gray breaks up the color, it's not too overpowering, it's easy to use, and in my opinion, if you're gonna make this build, try playing around with gray and see how well it works. I haven't seen that done much. At least I haven't come across a video that has, but gray and yellow work like best friends together. I think it's just a perfect match, you know? So even way before I started the interior, I knew exactly the fact that I wanted to use gray to kind of break up the yellow in the interior, and I think it looks really, really good. I use like this concrete wall in the background. just to kind of break up everything, I end up using the same couches, I believe, or at least similar couches to the one I used in my ranch build, just in a different swatch. I think they just look really cool, and I wanted to use them again. I like the shade of yellow as well. I didn't think it would be too much of a problem using them again. Here I just wanted to add kind of like a stool area, bookshelf in the corner there underneath the stairs. And I also add a bunch of like boxes and storage items underneath the stairs, just to make it seem like they kind of like stuff everything underneath there, like especially when they moved in. And then we have this cute little dining room table. They are students, so I didn't want to add like too much of a dining table, because I wanted it to seem kind of like a smaller area. Like, I mean, if I was a college student and I lived here, I think that would be pretty cool. I think this build turned out really nice. And I'm doing something I don't normally do, but I'm trying to layer rugs. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. I couldn't find a rug that was like gray that had enough detail for my liking, so I ended up layering the rugs. That's the stool I end up using. I love using that stool. I feel like it's so easy to use. Like, I think the challenge is not using it. I like how it looks. I used it in my ranch build. I used it in a different build as well. I think the Generation 1 I used it. It's just super easy to use. It's really aesthetic. You can pile stuff on it. You can put plants, you can put books, you can put boxes. Like, it's so versatile, so I really like using that. It also works like in the kitchen. At my house, I have a stool in the kitchen because sometimes we have really, really high cabinets that we just put stuff we don't normally use up there, but when we do, we kind of need the stool to go get it. But yeah, so I'm just trying to brighten up the space a little bit more, and I'm trying to find clutters that would make sense for like a student. So later on, I end up putting like study piles on the dining room. No, not the dining room. The living room table, the coffee table itself. And yeah. And I really liked the look of the gray bookshelf. I think that looked really cool. And I really like these bookshelves in general. I think they just look so nice. The details in each book, like I'm a sucker for details, so when I feel like they come out with like a pack that each item kind of looks like they've been worked on, and it's not just like a bunch of squares on a shelf, I will definitely be getting that and adding that to my game. It's just too hard to resist, and yeah, so here I am trying to figure out how I'm gonna clutter up this dining room table and this corner here. I don't know, I really love the amount of yellow I used. I think it was the perfect amount. I don't think it was overpowering. Even in my ranch build, I like the amount of orange I used. I think it was true to the challenge. I thought it was fun, and for somebody who loves the color orange, you're gonna love that build. You're gonna want to use it, and you're gonna want to play in it, so I thought it was perfect. I do like glance at the generation like details of like their careers and their aspirations and stuff. I do try to incorporate that more so now. Maybe honestly, I got lucky with my first two builds because I forgot to refer to the challenge rules, but I actually ended up following them, if that makes sense. So the very first one was broccoli, and I think their career was like something to do with like crafting stuff, and I did end up putting a greenhouse coincidentally with a bunch of workshop items, so I guess that worked out for the best. Also, my generation 2 was I think they were like a therapist or something. I don't know exactly, but I remember, or mixologist, I think. It was a mixologist because I did end up putting a bar there. So it ended up working out really well. But after that, I made sure to definitely at least glance at the generation rules. So it gives me a better guideline for my builds. So for this one, like I mentioned before, it's a university student. And I guess the character grew up in a small town and they kind of like wanted to venture off their small town roots. So they kind of wanted to move to the city. But yeah, I think this is a perfect build for them. I wouldn't say it's too modern. I think it's just the perfect balance between the two. But yeah, I've never really lived in a small town, so I'm not sure what it's like. Some people I talk to, they say it's cozy. Some say it's very crowded and just you feel kind of like there's always somebody there type of thing. You're never alone type of thing. Some people like it, some people don't. But yeah, so reading more into the generation rules, they come from a small town. They wanted to go to the move to the big city. They wanted to kind of like, I'm getting the impression they're a little bit like overbearing on themselves. They kind of just want to succeed. They kind of want to just prove all the townies wrong type of thing. But yeah, I think that's an interesting like character dynamic. And I really like how this challenge has different generations with completely different aspirations and different traits and different characteristic. I think that makes it look really cool. But yeah, end up like replacing this plant here because I just didn't want to overuse that cylinder plant too much, although I think it looks really cool. The details in like the rock where the plants are, immaculate. They need to, I think, redo every single thing in the game that doesn't have as much detail and just like revamp it. I think that would be really cool. I don't think people would hate it because we use this stuff so frequently, you know, so I don't think it would matter that much. But yeah, so I really like how this turned out, and I wanted to add a rug in the kitchen also. Again, I wanted to go in with like a gray color. I was originally going to go with this, which I think would work really well too, but I wanted to incorporate more gray to kind of break up the yellow. But yeah, I mean, look at this. I mean, the gray just works so perfect. It's the perfect color, and I actually used to make clothes. So I used to like make them for fun at my house, and I remember making this gray jean jacket, and I wanted to add like animated splatter like that were yellow, and I ended up gifting it to a friend, but it turned out really cute and it turned out really aesthetic, and it looks like it came out like from a comic book. So ever since then, gray is my go-to color when it comes to yellow clothing pieces or yellow builds. So gray will always be my color to go for. Yeah, so I'm trying to add some artwork so I can make the house seemed like doesn't have a bunch of like blank walls everywhere. I'm trying to be mindful of like the type of artwork that they would have. Like upstairs in the bedroom, I make sure to incorporate like artwork that a student would have, like a chemistry thing, a bunch of like drawings and stuff, like something a university student would probably have on their wall, right? So I wanted to incorporate that. I ended up replacing, I think, this bookshelf with just a mirror. I couldn't find anything that would work well underneath there without taking too much room. So I ended up just replacing this whole thing with a mirror. Which I think it looked really decent. here I am going in with just a bunch of boxes. I do end up finding a box I've actually never used before. It was it had like a plant on it. Kind of looked like a yeah, right here. Like, doesn't that look cool? That has to be like my second favorite box, apart from this one I'm moving right now. I think it looks really cute. I like the little sticker on the front. I think that looks really cool. But yeah, I was super excited to use that. I did realize that when I do build these challenges and I'm trying to incorporate different stuff, I discover so much stuff that I've never actually used before. But I do have like debug on and stuff. I feel like debug is like not really that organized. So here's the mirror I end up going with. And here I kind of struggled with the upstairs layout because it's just a weird shape. And the balcony is already established, so obviously I have to put a bedroom there, right? So yeah, it just ended up being like a weird shape, and I struggled a lot with trying to figure out where the bathroom was gonna be, if I wanted a separate laundry room. But yeah, and two of the bedrooms have different shades of yellow in it. So this one in particular has a more like country style feel to it. I wanted to kind of bring their country roots in a little bit. I don't think somebody who's lived or who at least grew up in a small town would completely abandon it, unless like they completely like loathed country life in general. So I wanted to kind of bring that in this bedroom here. The other bedroom is not supposed to be a kid's bedroom, because I know one of the traits is that they hate children. I just wanted to have an extra bedroom in the house, just in case their new generation comes, or just in case they have like a roommate that doesn't really want that much space, right? Yeah, so there's a lot of country vibes in this build specifically, which I like. I like this bedroom because it tells a story. It's in line with their story, and it's different, and I really liked how this turned out. I ended up using the bedside tables and the desks that are all like one style, so they all have like the same rustic wood shade. This bedroom ends up being kind of like the exterior. It's like this like bright fun looking orange, so yeah, I really liked having two different styles. Like, that's usually what I like to do in my legacy builds, is if I'm going to use a color, I want each bedroom and to incorporate a different style of green. I had my very first generation build, I used the color green in lighter versions in some bedrooms, and I had one bedroom that was like this beautiful emerald dark green, and I thought it looked cool. In the screenshots, it just looked really cool. So I like doing that. I think it works really well to incorporate different shades of yellow. And you're using the color to the full extent, right? You don't want like the same dark yellow or dark green in a home like over and over again. You kind of want some variety. You want to challenge yourself. You want to try new things, right? So variety is the key to learning, in my opinion. I think if you try different things, you're gonna find stuff that you're gonna eventually like to use or might use again, right? So I ended up expanding this area and moving the bathroom over. But yeah, like I said, this is a very weird layout, so I was struggling a little bit with just where I wanted everything. But overall, this bedroom turned out really nice. I wanted to add something at the end of the bed to kind of like... I used to have this, this like chest sort of thing that's in the game. It's not CC or anything, but I just can't find it anymore. I don't know what it is. I have to go back to my my old builds where I did use it. I'm trying to go grab it, because before I was able to search for it, now I can't. So I wanted to use that at the end of the bed because I feel like it just ties everything together, and it would have been perfect, but I ended up putting something else there. And yeah, I'm going in with like some country photos, again bringing in her or his roots back into the build, just so it's kind of like in theme, you know? I mean, if you're gonna move somewhere far away and you've spent your whole life in the country area, why wouldn't you want to like take a few things with you, you know? That's if like you haven't like you actually had like a really bad experience there, right? But just cluttering up this area, trying to fill it up with as much like study items, stuff that I think they would have. One thing I did notice that I used more is the usage of like pictures. I don't really use like the small pictures on like nightstands. I had to downstairs on like the side table for where the couches are. Like I did use that more often in this build. No reason in particular, only because I just, like I said, I want to try new things, right? I want my builds to have a little bit, or at least as much variety as I can. So I'm here kind of cluttering everything, using move objects to maneuver the placement of stuff. But yeah, I think the next generation is potato, so the color brown. Really excited for that one. Brown is not a color that I'm not confident with. I use brown a lot. I love using brown. I think brown is like even in this build I use brown, so brown is super easy to use, but to use it like all in a build would be amazing. I actually saw one of my favorite simmers here on YouTube. Her name is Lunar Simmer. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Yeah, I have to look at her name and figure out how to say it again. But she's actually doing the Very Veggie Legacy Challenge too, which is amazing. Her builds are really cool to look at. And she did a potato like brown build. It was like very run down, and it was like, because one of the traits in the build is that they're a slob, so the house looked like really grunge like, and it looked beautiful. In my opinion, it looked beautiful only because I really want to do a makeover for it. I did ask her and she did give us permission, so I want to use that build. I want to use it in a different video, and of course I'm gonna link all of her socials below in the description of that video specifically. But I want to do a makeover for it. She did upload it to the gallery and it's free for anybody to use. And I'm excited for it because I think the layout of that house was really nice. The proportions of it was really cool, and I'm really excited. So I might take a break like for my next video and end up doing a makeover. I think for sure I'm gonna do that because I don't know, it's just something I've been thinking about doing for the longest time, and when I saw her video pop up, it was like a match made in heaven. So yeah, the build turned out really cool, and it was really on theme. Like her Very Veggie challenge builds are extremely on theme. She's very oriented. She has the challenge kind of like up, and she reads you the challenge, so she's very like descriptive. So make sure to check out her channel. I'll definitely have it linked in my like makeover video that I'm going to do. I don't think it would make much sense to link it in this one, but yeah, so while I am working on that, I do also want to say that I appreciate all the support I've been getting. I've received a couple new subscribers, and I just wanted to say welcome and thank you for stopping by. And thank you for your comments. I really enjoy reading your guys' comments and interacting with you guys. it definitely makes this way more fun to know that I get to talk to you guys, and I get to see how your guys' day was and see what type of stuff you like to see as far as like Sims go. And that includes gameplay, not just speed builds. I do want to play other games also, like Minecraft, Palia. Those are games I play on my free time, and yeah, I want this channel to be fun. I want it to have a good community, and I think we've already established that so far, so I got really lucky. But yeah, so again, thank you so much for your guys' support and the comments and the subscriptions and the likes, and yeah, so I'm super grateful to you guys. Here I am adding the just the drawings and stuff to make it seem like she kind of is doing like a project, you know, so yeah. Adding like a calendar here, because what student doesn't have a calendar, right? Everything has to kind of like be on time, and with like a specific workload, I'm pretty sure it's very overwhelming. So yeah, and I'm just adding a little bit more clutter here to the walls to kind of like make it seem like it's not just plain concrete, you know? But yeah, so I'm super excited for my next video. And I hope she comes out with like more stuff like that. I'd love to work with it. I think the idea of doing a makeover on like somebody else's like rundown build is like such a fun video. Those are the type of videos that I like to watch a lot of the time. I like to see what two creators create. Like one of them, they'll create like the most rundown, like scary type of build, and then another creator uses that while still maintaining the integrity of the layout and the flooring and stuff, and just make it less that. So I think that's like a really creative idea. It's fun to incorporate that type of stuff. I mean, who doesn't like a good makeover? I think those types of shows, like on cable, where they kind of like show a house or like show part of the house and they do a makeover, or they hire people to do it, they're entertaining because you have two different people, right, who one of them creates the foundation of the layout, right, and the other person just completely transforms it to something that I consider as art. I think beautiful architecture and interior becomes an art at some point. Everybody has a unique aesthetic, even though like it might be like stemming from like Pinterest, or even if you copy like a Pinterest post, I feel like there's still gonna be a unique feature in that space, because I think everybody just collects things differently throughout their life, and they just have different experiences. Like for me, I have like a bunch of stuff that I collect, and I have nieces and nephews, so sometimes they like get me random stuff, so I have a collection of things and a little bit of like just random things in my room that I collect because they're cute. They're gifts that were given to me by my nieces and nephews who just, I don't know, I think like the younger somebody is, the more meaningful like these like small items are, you know, because it's theirs, right? So it poses like a significant meaning to them. So I love collecting it. I love keeping it in hopes of like when they grow older I can be like, oh, you got me this, you know, like look at this, remember this type of thing. It's a fun little detail to have. Here I am going again with like gray rugs to kind of break up that like really bright yellow in this room, which I think looks really good. I end up using like a really childish looking like shelf in this corner, I believe, if I remember, but I didn't want this to be like a kid's room because I know like the trade is like they don't like kids, but who knows, maybe an adult likes that stuff. I don't know. We'll see. You could change that out if it doesn't like match the challenge, but overall I think this build looks really cool. I like the kind of like tucked away closet area. I think that looks really cool. I end up using a lot of bright artwork in this bedroom also, so that's really cool too. Yeah, so I bring in this painting again. I tuck it away where the closet is. But yeah, so I'm really pleased with this build overall. I think the interior has a lot of character. It uses the color. It has a lot of gray, which is exactly what I wanted. And I would definitely use this building gameplay for sure. For sure, I think it works perfectly. It's, I think, gameplay friendly. I'm not really sure like how your Sims kind of would. It's not too big, so I guess like it would be fine. Like since it's like 2 levels and all the bedrooms are upstairs, I think it would be fine. And I did again place a cluster of pictures here. Just stuff that I think like this person would be like collecting over time. But yeah, and they have a balcony as well, and I also ended up using like a very fun wallpaper for this, and then a lighter wallpaper for this one just to kind of match it. And yeah, I like it. I think it looks cute. I mean, doesn't that look cute? 2 different styles completely, so I feel like the variety is really cool. I also ended up using the same countertops I used for the kitchen below for this build, because I just I don't know, maybe not this build, maybe it's the next one over I used the countertops, I'm not really sure. No, it's this one. Okay. Alright, so I am doing this voiceover like separately from the build by like a few days, so I don't fully remember everything, but yeah, I think it looks really cool. I tried to incorporate like hints of yellow in the bathroom also, but again the bathrooms kind of look the same. That's one thing I wanted to mention, like bathrooms are starting to like, I don't know, maybe because I've been using the same things, but they're starting to be a little bit boring. I hope they come out with like another bathroom kit, like the kitchen clutter kit. Like I want more clutter, and I want like more shelving units for the bathroom. I don't think we can ever have enough. Yeah, so here I am trying to put like a laundry bin in here because I do feature a washer and dryer where the ladder to the balcony is. But yeah, I ended up using something I've never used before. There was this like little towel like cabinet area. I sized it down and it ends up being like super cute. Like look at that. I really like that in this build. I don't think I've ever used that, so it was a good opportunity to use it and to see how it would look, and I'm definitely gonna try to use that again if I can find it. Usually if I find something I like, I don't, and I want to reuse it, I don't remember where to find it, to be honest. I think I just, again, there is so much content in The Sims 4, but I think it's just human nature to just never be satisfied with the amount of content you're getting, you know, with like the gaming industry and like art and hobbies. Like it's always improving, it's always being elaborated on, and I just feel like it's human nature now to just always want more, never be satisfied type of thing. So here I am adding these like pictures that have like leaves on them just to break up everything. They're my favorite pictures to use in a bathroom. I think they make the most sense. They're simple enough to not look too strange in a bathroom, but have like just enough for you to notice them, right? I was gonna go for like this yellow on yellow, but I thought like this is way too much, so I ended up using that to kind of using like a white color to break up the yellow tile in the washroom. This ends up being another bathroom here. But yeah, like again, I think the bathrooms look really similar to each other, so nothing too crazy when it comes to that. But yeah, I wanted to use the big shower originally, but it didn't fit properly at all, so I ended up just not using that. But yeah, so after this, I think I work on the laundry room or like the hallway area. I don't really remember. And I do want to mention, I do actually end up adding like a little bit of a pool in the backyard. I don't feature that in the build only because it was just such a last minute change and it was like a small detail in my opinion. So I just featured it in the screenshots, and it is uploaded onto the gallery with the pool. It's not a big pool, it's like a smaller one. I just felt like I wanted the backyard to seem a little bit more interesting, and I couldn't figure out a way to do that without like, other than adding a pool. So yeah, so here I am cluttering up this like laundry basket. I believe this laundry basket you can't use like in gameplay. Like, it doesn't really have any significance to anything, so that kind of sucks. But it's a great item to clutter up like a quarter of a bathroom, so can't complain too much. But yeah, so as you can see, this bathroom doesn't look too different. It does have like kind of like a different layout, but overall the same type of vibe in this space. But yeah, here I'm adding like towel area, like playing around with like the sink to kind of align it better and give more room for the toilet area here. But yeah, I'm interested to see what you guys think of this build. I think it looks really cool. I think I used the color pretty well, and I'm curious, like, do you guys like the color yellow? Is it one of those colors that you can like look up for a long time? Like for me, I love the color red. It's one of my favorite colors, but I would never put it in a bedroom. It gives me a headache in the bedroom. I feel like the color red is just too much after like a long period of time. I like the color pink in a bedroom, the color blue. Gray is pretty decent, it's very calming. And I think colors make a really big difference when it comes to the interior of a house. So like, I feel like if you have a color that's really bright and overpowering, and let's say you had a long day, I don't think it'd be healthy to just stare at like a really bright color or like even fall asleep to it. I don't think it's a calming space, and especially the bedroom, you know, so where you're trying to like get your rest after a long day. I don't think using really overpowering colors is like that relaxing, but who knows, it might not bother anybody at all. But for me specifically, having like a bright red in a bedroom, yeah, no, I don't think that's very appealing to me and like my rest needs. So I ended up finding this like really cute painting that I didn't even realize we had, so I'm trying to definitely incorporate that. And I think that's actually a book cover, the yellow and like the paintings I'm trying to use, like I think they're book covers, so I think that ties in with university students. I'd imagine they at least enjoy reading some of the time. I'm not really sure. Like when I was in school, I really enjoyed reading, despite the fact there was a lot of reading involved and like homework and stuff. But I think it's different type of reading. Like if you find like a genre you really like I like a lot of mystery books, and I like a lot of thriller books. My favorite author is John Grisham. I just feel like a lot of his books just have a lot of realism in it. They're very thrilling, they make you think, and yeah, so if you haven't already and if you are into reading, I'd recommend his books a lot. If you're into kind of like a mystery, like he does a lot of like books about law enforcement, about lawyers, and about kind of like different stories regarding that, and I think that's really cool. So this is the laundry area for this build, and it's attached to the ladder that goes all the way up to the balcony area. Alright, I think that sums up this build. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I was so happy with how this build turned out, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Stay tuned, I will be doing a makeover video soon. But yeah, so I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and enjoy the screenshots. Bye guys.
Let me show you devotion. Let me light you up. I just wanna show you the depths of my love. Let me enter your ocean. Drown me in your love.